Well, of course, America is right in the middle of the race for the White House. The former president's trying to unseat the current occupant, Joe Biden, who separately has been facing calls from his own side to pull out of the race. The well-known American pollster, Frank Luntz, can join us now. Thanks for making the time, Frank. What do you think the effect will be on this race?
I think it's going to cause people to reach the conclusion that we talked about on Newsnight a few weeks ago, that the democracy that Americans sometimes take for granted is really under significant threat, that people are willing to take matters into their own hands, that the civility and decency and respect that we expect and demand from our politicians is lacking and is causing real damage. Specifically on the vote, this is going to have an impact not on who people support, but on their likelihood of getting out and actually participating. I think you're going to see a 1 or 2% addition to Donald Trump's vote, particularly in the state that this happened, Pennsylvania, which is a critical swing state, because every Trump voter in Pennsylvania is going to participate. The intensity of that vote, we've probably never seen anything like it, and that in itself could make a difference in November.
So you really think this could play in significantly to the race for the White House?
I think it's going to have a significant impact, but I'm not truly looking for the next election, although November is important, obviously. I'm thinking about the next generation. We haven't had this kind of violence since 1981 when Reagan was shot, and it does not bode well for the country. I know that you've experienced this in the UK as well. At a certain point, these politicians have to stand up and say, enough. Just put your hands up and say, we're not going to do this anymore, because the consequence of this is so significant, not just in our participation, but in our faith and confidence that democracy actually works, that our voice is heard, and that we matter as individuals.
But who do you think bears responsibility for the climate that has been created? We heard from Nigel Farage earlier, who spends a lot of time in America, that he pointed the finger, might not surprise you, but very much at what he calls the mainstream media for whipping up a certain environment. And he pointed the finger at what he would say are liberals. But in your view, whose responsibility for creating the current political climate in America? I mean, what do you think Donald Trump's responsibility is too?
That's a fantastic question. And the answer is all of us. And I'm sorry that he chose to be partisan at this moment, because there are people on the left, there are people on the right, that there are too many people in America looking for the negative, looking for the opposition, trying to find the best line that will sound great as a soundbite. And then the media reports it. If the media did not have the context for this, did not have the content for this, it would not be happening. And so I say to everyone who's watching right now, particularly in the UK, don't let this come to your country. Hold people accountable on your own side. So if you're a conservative, challenge the conservatives. If you're labor, challenge labor. That if we don't take personal responsibility for this, I, as a pollster and a language person, there is a time when I contributed to it. And I think it's important that we all recognize that we're at the breaking point right now. This will help Donald Trump in the end, just as the police who killed George Floyd ended up creating a significant change in the public's attitude. I think we're going to have that right here in America, and maybe it'll transfer itself to the UK. But make no mistake, we are at the breaking point, and we need to look beyond traditional partisanship to our country and its future and the legacy that we are creating right now for our children and our grandchildren.
Okay, Frank Luntz, well, words matter, and thank you for joining our conversation here in the UK this morning. Thank you.